as you can see, the situation I'm in is odd, yet I feel you can help. If anyone can help, it's you. Any information you can give to me would be much appreciated. Thanks for your time and have a great rest of your week. Sincerely, Brett Sieber. All right, send. I guess let's see where this goes. Hopefully the distance.
Frozen Tundra Football League.
Hello and welcome back to all of my friends and fellow FTFLers. It is I, host of the FTFL Weekly Update, owner of the Hulkamaniacs, and not Mr. Irrelevant after my team's victory this week. That is I, it is right, it is I, Brett. Welcome back to the longest weekly running episodic fantasy football update show out there. And if you are new to the show, first and foremost, how did you find us? And secondly, I hope you've got your popcorn, something to drink, and you're sitting down because we are about to get this party started. 4 weeks in. 12 weeks will get us to week 16, although we're going to week 17. 4 weeks of the regular season in, 10 weeks left. Now, we've had a few trades come in. The Markser Derrick Henry trade, of course, made us scratch our head a little. However, the trade made sense for both teams. This week, not so much. 2 trades that happened. Sid and Make Kramerica Great Again gave up Tony Jones and a 3rd round pick to Adam Schwartz, Liquid Schwartz, who gave up Calvin Ridley and a 15th round pick. Now, if you're paying attention, and I hope you are, it was Schwartz who gave up a 3rd round pick for Calvin Ridley. Basically rented Calvin Ridley for the first 4 weeks of the season, got his 3rd round pick back because Tony Jones, back up in New Orleans, has already been told to back up and go find a new team. Odd for Swart. Now, Swart had other offers. I tried to help. I tried to offer him DK Metcalf for the season. He said, no, Brett, Calvin Ridley's going to be the man. And then we found out that Calvin Ridley wasn't even the best receiver on the Falcons. More on that later because it's the other trade that I really want to talk about. Linkowitz involved in a trade with Manon. Now, if you remember last year, it was these 2 teams who did the epic Derrick Henry trade that most certainly propelled Jeff to his 4th, that's right, not 1st, not 2nd, not 3rd, but 4th FTFL championship. This one, I'm not entirely sure works out in Jeff's favors. He gives up Justin Herbert, James Conner, and DeAndre Hopkins, who he just acquired a couple weeks ago. Just got him on the team. Apparently not liking the way that one fits because he's gone now. And Linkowitz, on his end, gave up Jameis Winston, Jonathan Taylor, and Will Fuller, who is currently on the IR. General Manager of the Year for being able to trade a player that is on the IR. Bravo, John. I reached out to several of the owners in the FTFL to get their feelings, their feedback on this trade. And a lot of them were kind of like me. They had to read the trade 2, 3, 4 times before you just like, I must be missing something. Something doesn't make sense. Something's not adding up. And we all came to the same conclusion that no, what was there was what was there. And it didn't really make a ton of sense. Now, one of the few owners I didn't get to speak to on the matter was the man involved himself, Jeff Markser. And all we were actually sent was a statement from the team itself. And it reads this. It said, I'm assuming I is Jeff. I have nothing to say on this matter. I will let my team speak for itself. And then, I guess, nothing to say turned into just one more thing because it follows 4 titles to my name. I don't know of anyone else in the league who has 4 titles. You don't doubt the man with 4 championships. That, and you don't doubt you don't doubt El Dandy. Jeff, I'm not entirely sure this trade will be anywhere close to dandy when all this. You downgraded on your quarterback, you downgraded at your running back position, you downgraded at your receiver position, and all you have to show for it is an extra second-round pick. Jonathan Taylor might turn out to be a real swell running back, but he ain't Derrick Henry. He ain't Derrick Henry. Whew, we're going to watch that one and keep track of it. Maybe have to have the Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor tracker next week. You'll see it. How they do, we'll start to keep track of that. In other news, the North is still tight. 2-2 or 1-3. Everyone is still bunched together. The South is still strong. 3 teams at 3-1. However, is that legit or is that smoke and mirrors? We'll get into a little bit of that later. And part of that smoke and mirrors was Adam Saltmarsh. Started out hot. First 2 weeks averaging 100 points. These last 2 weeks, 49 points. Why? We'll get into what I think is the biggest culprit and not maybe a secret. And lastly, we're going to spend a little bit of extra time talking about Eric Start. Eric Start is historic in a lot of ways. Will he be able to turn this around? Will luck finally be on his side? Not entirely sure. For now, we get to the games. All right, first up, Make America Great Again, coming in at 2-1, taking on the Radioactive Monkeys at 2-1. Battle for first place in the South. I said it earlier. Saltmarsh came out the gates hot. He has fallen flat the last couple of weeks, including this one, only 47 points. Wasn't long ago we were talking about John and his low point total. This doesn't get quite that low, but boy, has it been ugly for Saltmarsh. Sid notched 89. If you're Sid, Austin Eckler, 21.5 points. Now, Austin Eckler, already over half of the points he scored last year in just the first 4 weeks. Will he stay healthy is something we're going to watch, or will his wet paper sack self stand up? I guess time will tell. Matt Stafford, 16. Justin Jefferson and Justin Tucker, the Justins, if you will, the J Squad, the J Team, 13 points apiece. Sid gets another win against an opponent who didn't really score a whole lot. However, doesn't matter how you get him, just that you got him. And got him is something that Salty does not. Stupid Face Jr., Kyler Murray, 22 points. Stephon Diggs, 9.5. Everyone else was under 4.5 points. Peyton Barber, 0 points. Miles Sanders, 3.5 points. I've been talking week in and week out about Salty's running back play, and so I'm like, it's been bad. How bad? Over the first 4 weeks of the season, Salty's 8 running back starts, 2 a week, have totaled 23.5 points. 8 starts, 23.5 points from the running backs. There are 32 running backs in the league right now who have more than 23 points. Come on, Saltmarsh. Come on! Something's got to happen. Something's got to give instead of you just giving other teams an easy week. Next game, Mixing Cocktails 2-1, taking on Mana. 4-time Lucky Pants belt-stealing champ Mana at 1-2. And Jeff, for the second week in a row, gets maybe not the second week in a row, but he finds his second win. Andy, after a 2-0 start, loses for the second time, still looking for that coveted, and only to Andy, coveted third win, which of course would tie his win total from last year. 78 points to 68 for Andy. Not a high-scoring affair, but it doesn't matter. It is still a win. Justin Herbert and the Bills defense both notched 22 points for Jeff. Robert Woods, 10, his highest point total so far. Now, over the last 3 seasons, by this point, Robert Woods had more points the last 2 as opposed to this one. Slow start. I know Cooper Kupp is stealing the headlines. Will Robert Woods find his old form, or will Jeff be left with Will Fuller? Good luck with that, because DeAndre Hopkins only had 6 points. DeAndre Hopkins, too, this year, fewer points in his first 4 weeks than he has had the last 2 years. But still, DeAndre is someone that can go 10, 1, 50, and 2 like that. Will Fuller on IR will not go like that. Wait, that sound you heard is Will Fuller's ankle snapping. Oh, there went his elbow. Oh, his head, wet paper sack, all-pro himself, Will Fuller, now a part of Jeff's team, so he could get Jonathan Taylor. Nick Chubb, second straight week without a touchdown, 6.5 points. That Cleveland team and Kareem Hunt, that two-headed monster, is probably going to eat into Jeff's Chubb production. That sounded wrong, so I'll just move on to Andy's team. Dak Prescott, 32. Zach Moss, 10 points. 5 of his players had 4 or less. Debo with 30 on the bench. Tyler Lockett, also struggling. 48 points in the first 2 weeks, 6 points in the last 2 weeks. Now, if Debo plays, Andy wins. I don't know. Some weeks you're probably going to play Debo. Some weeks you're probably not going to. Andy, like I said earlier, is still looking for win number 3. We'll see if he gets it next week. All right, so next up, the Valhalla Vandals destroying, I guess, this week, Eric, who has been destroyed multiple times, according to stories I've heard, especially all the way back in college. But that's for another show. A Pack Attack coming in at 1 and 2. None of the luck on his side up until now, and that continues through this game, 132 to 108. If you're Peter, you are going to go as far as Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill are going to take you. Tyreek Hill, 39.5. Patrick Mahomes, 38. By the way, he is averaging 32 points. He, pronouns pal, Patrick Mahomes, 32 points a week. This week, the score by Tyreek Hill, his 10th 20-plus game of the last 3 seasons. 10 20-plus performances. It's boom or bust, and when it's booming, it's going over well. Ryan Suckup, 15. Kareem Hunt, the other Cleveland Brown running back, who might all of a sudden be more valuable because he can catch passes than Nick Chubb. Maybe the brother-in-laws can trade the Chubb, but that sounds weird too. Peter had 3 below 7. Again, didn't matter. If you're Eric, 108 points is a pretty respectful total, but in the end, not enough. Russell Stupid Face Wilson, 20. A.J. Brown, 18. Antonio Brown, 18. Derrick Henry, 17. Cooper Kupp, 15.5. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 13. And is Clyde Edwards, now double digits for back-to-back weeks, seems to be turning the corner. Is now Eric finally going to get those dividends that he invested on that first-round pick last year? Is it finally going to happen? If you're Eric, fingers crossed that it is. He only had 2 below 7. His team overall, far better production across the board, but without Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, it just didn't happen. All right, so Eric's team has been unlucky. We've got a new segment this year. I give you the unluckiest team in the league. All right, now a couple weeks ago I debuted this segment, and it looked like maybe it was going to be Adam Swart, who's the unluckiest team in the league, but my kicker scored 0 points. Come on, a kicker scoring 0 points just shouldn't happen. Now, Adam Swart, I know, would like you to believe he still is the unluckiest team in the league. All those injuries, playing against top scoring teams. But when you have the most points scored in the league, and your record is 1 and 3. When you have 60 more points scored against you than the next highest team in the league, and 140 points more than any other team in your division, that, my friends, qualifies you for the unluckiest team in the league, Eric. Eric, over the first 4 weeks of the season, has put up 99 points, 130.5. Sorry, take that back. Eric has had scored against him 99, 130.5, 134, and 132. That's right, 3 consecutive weeks of teams tagging him for 130 points. Yes, we have seasons where one team catches the brunt of it. Yes, we have seasons where one team gets really lucky and has few points scored against him. It is rare air to be the top scoring team and the top scored against team. 410 points for, 495 points against. Now, over the last 4 seasons, if you're Eric and if you keep up this pace, it appears things will go your way. Highest scoring team last year, Markser, 9-4, won the title. Highest scoring team in 2019 and 2018 was Sid. Both those teams, 8-5, 7-6, of course, didn't win the title. Highest scoring team in 2017 was Ryan at 9-4, and I believe, if I'm correct, he won the title in that season. Scoring a lot of points often means you're going to be successful, and if the last 4 years are an indication, you're going to finish above 500. Now, what that means is you got to play above 500 ball coming down the stretch, and this, you might. But let us not forget, fantasy football is all about luck. And so far, Eric, you have been the unluckiest team in the league. All right, a team that was, I think, in the past, usually unlucky, borderline just plain bad, Matt, the architect. But last year, something funny happened. He finished 9-4. And the thought at the time was, is it luck? Is it the Sports County Almanac that he stole from me? Or was his team just finally good? We didn't know. We said, well, let's see what happens this year. Fast forward to this year, Matt picks up his third win on the season, comes into 2-1, taking on Linkowitz at 1-2. Matt won 15.5, Linkowitz 79.5. After a couple really poor weeks, John has a little less poor week, but still not nearly enough to get it done. And Matt marches to his third victory. Terry McLaurin, for those of you who aren't hip to the scene, 23 points. DJ Moore, 22. James Robinson, and that hot tub full of ladies with 16.5 points. Tyler Bass, 16. Zeke Elliott and Derek Carr, both with 14. Zeke Elliott is interesting. I think he definitely feels the heat from Pollard behind him and knows he's got to play better, and he has been, and if you're Matt, that's a big deal. Only 1-0 on Matt's team. Logan Thomas is now on the IR. Great tight end out of Washington. Matt's got to figure that out. I'm sure if he looks around, he'll spot another tight end. I'll just let him do that on his own. If you're Linkowitz, Saquon Barkley, 26.5 points. Barkley, second best fantasy score. Good Christ, it's just water in here, folks. I promise. 26.5 points is Saquon Barkley's second highest fantasy score of his career. Now, last year, one game, missed the rest of the season. Is Saquon Barkley finally becoming who he thought he was? And will John hold on to him, or will he let him off the hook? I'm guessing John will hold on to him and talk about how great of a general manager he is. Ryan Tannehill, 12. Joe Mixon, 10.5. OBJ, 3 points. OBJ has only had 6 double-digit scoring games in the last 3 seasons. Now, on the contrary, Tyreek Hill, not just double-digit scoring, maybe I'll look at him next week, but 10, 20-plus games. OBJ's time as an elite receiver, I'm pretty certain, are done. And he has caught my ire on several occasions prior to this because I just don't think he cares. I don't think he really likes playing football. I think football makes him money, and that's what he cares about. If you're Linkowitz, you fall to 1-3. But the trade you just made, which Linkowitz's quote on this trade deal, which I did not talk about earlier, he said, basically, I took 3 guys from my bench, I gave them to Jeff, and in return, he gave me 3 of his starters. Maybe 2, 3 on some weeks, and I guess I'll see you this week, and we'll see how those new players go. But before that, one last game to cover, and of course, it is mine. Hulkamaniacs at 1-2, taking on the Liquid Schwartz at 1-2. Looking at this game as an early season must-win. I was absolutely going, we have got to win this game, or run the risk of falling into irrelevancy this early in the season. Now, sure, 1-3 is still only 1 game out of first in the North, but it just doesn't feel right. What does is the 112 points my team put up this week, opposed to Adam Swartz, 75.5. Cordarrelle Patterson was a receiver for the Vikings, was a return man for the Bears, was always kind of been this Swiss Army knife of a player, and the Atlanta Falcons said, sure, we'll pick him up. We'll make him our third down running back. He'll catch passes out of the backfield. Oh, will he ever? 30.5 for him. Big week. We'll see if that continues. Aaron Rodgers, 22. Matt Prater, 15. It has been a breath of fresh air having a kicker who actually scores. DK Metcalf, 12. Dalvin. Wet paper sack alert! Cook. That's right. First team All-Pro wet paper sack. I do believe the captain of the All-Pro wet paper sack team will be Raheem Mostert, but he is watching closely week to week. At the end of this year, I will put together my all wet paper sack team. And Dalvin Cook, you are absolutely a front runner at the moment. 3 points, hurt again. It sounds like he's going to continue to play through his injury. We'll see. Didn't need him this week. Would love him for weeks going forward. If you're Swart, Josh Allen 18, David Montgomery 18 points, and then promptly found himself on the IR. Swart did get Damian Williams picked up, so he does have Chicago's running back in a team that does look like they want to run the football. Najee Harris 15, and the rest of his team were all below 7.5 points, including Calvin Ridley, who of course is now gone. Calvin Ridley, we hardly knew ye. And you are, I from what I understand, dead to Swart, along with others who Swart has told me are dead to him. No reason to name names. On to the stud, the dud, and the decent, where we absolutely will name names. A stud of the week, Hill Mahomes combined 77.5 points. It seems like way too often we're talking about that tandem. If you're Peter, you're going to ride that tandem all the way to the bank if they can continue to perform at the level they are. It could be boom or bust. We'll see. Also, Cordero Patterson. Come on. When is Cordero Patterson ever going to be stud again? Maybe this week. Let's hope. But for this past week, 30.5 points for him. Dud of the week, OBJ. You're a clown. You're a phony. You're a fraud. Yeah, you got hurt, but I still don't think you even care. And you're done. You're just done. You're not even a has-been. In my book, OBJ, you're a never was. This week's reason that Swart should win the DSIM. Oh, he lost to the team with the lowest power ranking, who, of course, we all were pointing it out. We all were saying, oh, who is he won? But look at his power ranking is terrible, and his team, and come on. Guess what? I won. Swart lost. Now, Swart, I'd say you deserve the DSIM for that. However, I kind of think we can't leave Jeff Markshaw out of this conversation. I know it's too early to tell, but trust me, if somebody can trade away a second-round pick, which, Jeff, by the way, that is what you got out of all of this. If someone could trade away a second-round pick for Drew Brees and get the DSIM, anything's possible. On to week 5, where possibilities abound. Hulkamaniacs at 2-2, taking on Team Linkowitz at 1-3. Boy, the way I had Team Linkowitz down at 2-2, that's a lie. At 1-3. John tries to climb back into the winner's circle. I try to keep my stranglehold on the first place in the North. Mana, 4-time Lucky Pants belt stealing champ. Mana coming in at 2-2, taking on Kramerica at 3-1. A duo that has faced off in 3 separate Fantasy Bowl. Architect at 3-1, taking on Pack Attack at 1-3. Should be interesting. Architect has caught some breaks early. Eric has obviously caught none. Can he get Matt? That's why we play the games. Mixing Cocktails at 2-2, taking on Liquid Schwartz at 1-3. And lastly, the Radioactive Monkeys looking to do just anything. Will take on the Valhalla Vandals at 3-1. That'll do it for the show this week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Peace! Yeah. Great. Oh, you're back. Oh, good. Thanks for calling me. Left me high and dry. I had to go it alone last week, all by myself. Now, I won. Old me would have taken that as a sign of I'm doing something right. But old me hasn't done squat in this league for damn near 20 years. You can't just disappear for 10 days. We made a deal. Yes, I'm mad. Yeah, I won. Thanks for just reminding me. Yes, I know I won. All right, well, send me the lineup, and we'll talk again soon. All right, man. See you later.